Okay, perfect. So to introduce myself, so I'm Matt Brace. I'm the Communications Director for Hackney CVS, and we host the Connect Hackney Aging Better project. I should be joined by Margaret, hopefully, in a moment. The first project that we started for Connect Hackney about 5.5 years ago was the Connect Hackney Media Group. And in the media group, we train older residents, so anybody aged 50 plus, but actually typically people aged from their 60s to 80 to their 80s, and our oldest participant is 94. So we train people in digital skills, so computer skills, photography, interview skills, writing for the Connect Hackney magazine, for the Hackney Senior magazine, and writing for the Connect Hackney website. And we produce a quarterly magazine called Hackney Senior, which is very much about the older people in the group using their skills to produce something real and tangible. We print 4,000 copies of Hackney Senior magazine, and it's distributed each quarter to other older people in Hackney around libraries, hospices, community centres, lunch clubs, and so on. So we've been working in the media group for about 4 years, and then Hackney Council invited us to join them on a Windrush project. And we collected stories over about 4 months from Hackney elders who were from the Windrush generation. And we put the stories into a commemorative booklet and into a series of podcasts. This is the booklet, which you should hopefully see now on your screen. So there are a number of themes which came out from the Windrush project. One of them was work, and this is the cover of the booklet, and this is a very good example. So the 3 women on the front have been in the media group for about, Eugenia on the left, on my left in the blue, has been in the media group from the start. I remember her very much when she joined, because she phoned me up to join, and I asked her what her computer skills were, and she said she could turn a computer on, she could turn it off, but it was the bit in the middle that troubled her. But I mean, she's come on great since then. So she's now doing photography, she's writing articles for the magazine, she's been with the media group for 4 years, and she's like really charming and fun, as are all of the people in the media group. So Eugenia was a seamstress, so she told her story about coming over and working in a factory in Hackney, and that was very typical of Hackney and no other places, that a lot of the Windrush generation worked in clothing factories and shoe factories. And the other 2 women on the cover there are Beulah in the centre and Olive on the right, who were both nurses in the NHS. And they both told their stories about working as nurses and about their lives in Hackney. And overall, I think that was one of the really positive things that came out of the Windrush project. It was that Connect Hackney in the media group gave the platforms where older Hackney residents from the Windrush generation could tell their stories, and they could talk about the contribution they'd made to Hackney and the contribution that they still make. And it was very much about amplifying the voices of older people and them telling their stories in their words. And we were just there really as the kind of conduit to produce the magazine and the podcasts. There was really a big mixture in terms of the stories. It was quite interesting that some of the stories were really positive. So Olive on the cover there in the green, she said, when I was 18, I applied to do nursing. Nursing is my life, and I enjoy every minute of it. I got the life I wanted in London, very much so. London is just London, and Hackney, more than all, is lovely. I love Hackney so much, it's the people. So we got those kind of really great and positive stories where people loved Hackney. We also got very much the opposite. So Janet, who was also a nurse in the NHS, and one of the other great things about the project is we got these old photographs that people had. So these were the passport photos, and we scanned them with the group, and people brought in their old photos from the attics and from photo albums and stuff, which was really beautiful, because we then produced a really interesting historical document. We got a great introduction, by the way, from Diane Abbott. But Janet, another NHS nurse, you can probably just see the quote there, said the opposite. When I first see London, I say, oh, this is London, the Queen's country. I find it very dirty. And we heard that a lot. I mean, Janet says she came with the sunshine in her bones, so she wasn't feeling cold. But a lot of the participants spoke to us about how dirty Hackney was, how smoggy it was, how they lived in very cramped conditions. Another woman that I was looking at her story earlier, just thinking about it, was talking about how there were 10 people to a room in Hackney, and they came from their islands where they had big houses and had beautiful vegetation, they had a lot of space, and they came to Hackney and it was smoggy and dirty and had lots of factories and all the factories smoke. Another of the key themes that came up, which was important to tell, particularly even more so now thinking about the Black Lives Matters movement, and that's something we've been talking about a lot in Hackney, is that a lot of participants spoke about the racism that they experienced at the time. So some of the nurses was talking in their stories about how the doctors preferred the white nurses to the black nurses. There were also examples, a woman called Veronica, I'll send the links for all of these booklets, but a woman called Veronica talked about having to be very tough, and about her mum coming home with a bleeding hand when she was attacked by some young boys. And then moving on from that, the other theme that came out was the hostile environment more recently. And in terms of this project, we had two launches. We had a celebration event at Hackney Town Hall with the council, which was a really great event with other projects from Hackney. But then we had a more intimate event at Hackney CVS, and a number of the participants spoke about how hurt they were by the Windrush scandal, that they were invited to the country after the Second World War to help rebuild the UK. They participated, they played their part, and then very much later with the Windrush scandal, it was very disingenuous that it was suggested that they hadn't played their part and that they didn't have a right to be in the UK. In fact, some of the content that was produced was really quite political, and we couldn't include all of it in this publication in terms of the fact that we're a charity and we had to think about the funder. But Novlet here, I think, sums it up. She says, Windrush do more, get less. I thought they would treat us a bit more kindly. We spent all of our days here. We have no other home but Britain. This is the only home that we know now, because if I go back to Jamaica, I would be like a stranger there, because all my young days of my life have been spent here. And I'm saying the government is a bit disingenuous to do this to the Windrush people, and it makes me feel sad that the more you do is the less you get. So there's really a rich diversity of stories here. And another common theme we heard, which Veronica talks about, is that often the parents came over first on the invitation of the government to come over from the 1940s, and then the children tended to stay at home and were brought up by grandparents or aunts and uncles. And quite a few of the participants spoke to us about how that broke down the bond with the parents, that when the children came to Hackney, the relationship with the parents had broken down, and Veronica talks about that here. She says, the thing is, though, with coming to Britain, I didn't really know my parents because I left there from a young age. So when I came, I don't think we actually formed a bond. There was no bond there. They were just two people, really. So there's really a huge mixture of stories here. There's stories about marriages, about families, there's stories about going clubbing in the West End and the music they played and the kind of dancing they did. So it was a really rich story. We produced 10,000 copies of this booklet. I think it was really great at amplifying people's voices. And another interesting outcome of this project, whizzing back to the cover just to show you Beulah in the cover, when we were recording the stories, Beulah said she thought that the younger generations in Hackney didn't understand her, and they didn't understand where she came from. They didn't understand her generation and the Windrush community. And one of the really positive outcomes from this is that we gave quite a lot of copies of the booklet to Young Hackney, and the coordinator at Young Hackney, a guy called Zach, said that the young people loved reading the stories. So there was a really great intergenerational aspect there, so that the younger people were learning about the older people and what they'd experienced. And in terms of that, we archived this booklet with Hackney Museum, so it's there for future generations to come. So that was the Windrush Project. I think it was a really great project for amplifying the voices of older people and recording their experiences. Also a really beautiful document if we look at some of the photographs. We've got the more modern photographs, but the old photographs are great. Some of the photographs are from people in the islands in the Caribbean, but also these really great kind of glamorous shots. I'm just trying to find, there we go. So there's Olive now, our nurse who loved Hackney so much. And then Olive back in the days, just really beautiful photographs and so stylish. And also the photographs of her here with her daughter, with her NHS badge, with her NHS certificate. So it was a really beautiful project to work on. And the year after the Windrush Project, we did the Diversity Project, and the film that you just saw in the introduction with Antonia talking about the changing landscape of Hackney, that was part of that project. Because after Windrush, we were thinking about, Hackney is such a diverse borough. You've got the Vietnamese community, Chinese community, Turkish, Kurdish, African Caribbean, such a rich mixture of nationalities and culture in one borough. So we recorded that, and we also recorded the stories of adults with disabilities, particularly adults with learning disabilities and the LGBT community. And again, we launched it at Hackney Town Hall, and we had a great celebration event, just looking at the diversity and difference of Hackney. So the Media Group has been a really great project for training older people in digital skills and giving them the space to tell their stories. And I'm sorry, I don't know if Margaret has managed to join us.
Yes, I have.
Brilliant, Margaret. Good, because that's enough from me. Margaret. So Margaret's been a participant in the Media Group for quite a few years, and you told your story in Windrush and in Diversity. So can I hand over to you?
Yes. Hi. My
Margaret.
name's Margaret Smith, and I've worked as a volunteer for the Connect Hackney Media Group for 2 years now. I'm an assistant IT teacher there. I've also had several articles published in Hackney Senior, Connect Hackney's magazine, and I help students get their articles ready for submission for publication. And to tell you a bit more about myself and my background, my mum's Chinese from Singapore. My dad was from Jamaica. He's passed away now. He died a few years ago of prostate cancer. I wrote an article for the Windrush booklet called My Lovely Parents, about my parents. My dad actually predated Windrush. He joined the Royal Air Force and left Jamaica in the early 1940s to come to Britain to fight in the Second World War. However, many of the Windrush generation would have been his contemporaries and friends who came to make a new life in England from the late 1940s onwards. And the Windrush Project is important in that it keeps the memories of this important time alive through oral history and publication of people's memories and stories. Many of this generation are no longer with us, or they're reaching an elderly age. Therefore, it's so important to remember and record and preserve what happened. Also, it's important as a historical record. It promotes the teaching of an explanation of Black people's contribution to this country, promotes a wider view of the Black presence in Britain. In addition, the Windrush Project can help fight racism as it opens our eyes to the real lives behind Windrush, the stories of love, friendship, sacrifice, endeavour, etc., human stories which transcend race and colour. By educating everyone on Windrush, this can help others to realise the Windrush generation and their descendants are not so different from those who were born in the UK, with all of life's challenges, hopes and aspirations. We're all one human race. So just to say again, that the Media Group has been a wonderful place for me to meet many friends. We help students who are over 50 years old learn IT. It's so rewarding to see students learning new IT skills, and they're all so keen to learn. If you don't have digital skills in today's world, it's so easy to become socially isolated. Digital inclusion is so important today, especially for older people who are at greater risk of becoming socially isolated in the first place. And it's also been wonderful to develop my journalistic skills and to help my students develop theirs, writing articles for Hackney Senior and producing their articles for booklets like Windrush and the Diversity booklet. I really enjoy helping older people over 50 improve their lives, as finding solutions to ageism was a cause I've been very interested in over the years since I was at university. For those older people who had articles published in the Windrush booklet, and for those older people who participated in the Windrush Project, I'm certain that they would be happy to see themselves as role models for the younger generation, who they certainly inspire. And the Windrush Project was also an opportunity for people to come together and celebrate their achievements and meet people, as there were 2 launch parties for the booklet. I attended both parties with my mum and thoroughly enjoyed both events. Also, and finally, just to say, with the Windrush Project, the fact of reliving those memories for those that were a part of it may stimulate good memories and encourage mental well-being, helps older people's self-esteem and helps people to believe in themselves.
Margaret, it's Carol, Carol, I'm the host.
Hello.
We've got 2 minutes. I'm just giving you a time check.
Oh yes, I've just finished speaking. Thank you.
Okay, brilliant, brilliant. That was brilliant. Can I hand over to Matt, please?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, were there any, I think that was it really. I mean, we'll share the links. There's a lot of great podcasts as well. If we had time, we would have played I'm a Poem by Ngoma, which is a really beautiful poem, but we can share the link. Were there any questions for the last minute or two?
Can you remind us, Matt, where we can access the brochure?
Yeah, I can send the link, but it's connecthackney.org.uk, and then if you go through from the homepage, I think it's films and stories on the homepage.
Because I'm recording this.
Oh, it's print and media on the homepage, and then you've got Voices, Windrush, you've got the Hackney Senior magazine. And I mean, following up with Hackney Senior magazine, we were just looking yesterday in Zoom at Black Lives Matters, because we're conscious that a lot of younger people have been on those demos, which was great. And we haven't seen the presence of older people so much. So we're really keen to make sure that that's still included.
I'm counting down 36 seconds. Can I thank you hugely?
Thank you very
Matt
much.
and Margaret, thank you so much. And thank you to the members of this workshop. Thank you so much. We're going to be going back into the main room.
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you.